Okay, everybody, thank you so much for attending this webinar on pay-per-click advertising with me today. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I do see people are already asking questions, which is awesome. There will be a Q&A session in just a little bit, so I will answer all of your questions then. So I'm Lily Morrison. I'm an account development department consultant with iMatrix. And in this webinar today, we're going to explore how you can use paid or pay-per-click PPC advertising to secure your website on Google's first page results and receive a measurable and a high return on investment, that's the most important thing, and attract new patients for you guys this year. So here's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to talk about using PPC ads to secure real estate on Google's first search results page, how to create PPC ads that attract your ideal patient, that's an important thing, leveraging ad extensions to attract local patients because we don't want someone on the other side of the country to see your ad, offer special discounts that motivate action and more. And then finally, how to ensure that you see immediate results, which translates into actual patient leads from pay-per-click advertising. So, did you know that nearly 65% of people click sponsored ads when searching for a service or product online? So a lot of people use pay-per-click advertising. But you might be wondering, what is paid advertising? It's a mode of internet advertising in which you bid on certain keywords that relate to your practice. If you win that bid, your ad, which contains your chosen keywords, the things that you want to come up for in searches, it'll be displayed when an online user types in a search query relating to your keyword. You only pay for advertising when someone clicks on it. That's why they call it pay-per-click advertising, which makes sense, right? Pay-per-click advertising involves things like long-tail keywords, which are very specific 3 to 4 word phrases that visitors use when they know exactly what they're searching for. And we can talk a little bit more if you guys have some questions on what some examples of those will be. Another thing that's really important is quality score. And that's a major factor in determining where an online ad will be ranked once a search engine results, when someone searches for these keywords. Basically, a quality score is 1 to 10. They rate you, Google rates you. It's an estimate of the quality of your ads and the landing pages associated with your ads. A high score means that Google thinks your ad is relevant and helpful. And then there's the cost per click, which are ways to drive down your ad spend and get more bang for your buck. So how do we create pay-per-click advertising that attracts your ideal patients? First of all, you want to use what we call negative keyword lists. And that sounds sort of intense, but all that means it's words that you don't want to come up for. Searches like maybe free or cheap, or if you're a chiropractor, Medicare, or if you're a vet, 24-hour vet if you're not a 24-hour vet. Things like that. We don't want you to be coming up for those searches. You also want to update your keyword list, and you want to research which keywords are going to give you the highest click-through rate, which is basically a ratio of users who actually click on your link versus the total people who view your page, because again, we want to get you that ROI, that return on investment. You also want to basically figure out what's important to you and adjust your bids accordingly. You want to think about maybe bidding higher for exact matches on keyword searches and decreasing bids for things that are a little bit broader. And then you can sort of adjust in between as needed. And then, obviously very important, you also want to create a compelling ad. You want to focus on benefits your services offer rather than just listing the features. You don't want to do a bus tour. You want to entice people to want to come and use your business. Okay. So another thing you want to do is leverage ad extensions and exclusions. So you're probably wondering, what are those? And ad extensions are just a good way to highlight extra information about your practice in your ad. You know, your phone number, address, links to specific pages on your actual website, maybe your Google Plus rating and reviews. And then ad exclusions are things that you, again, don't want to come up for. So maybe certain IP addresses, certain areas that you don't want to come up for in your searches. Maybe there's particular neighborhoods you want to focus on and other neighborhoods you don't want to focus on, and that would be an ad exclusion. So again, pay-per-click advertising is all focused on getting clients in the door as fast as possible. This is a immediate solution. So we want immediate results, right? We want to see that ROI again. So some good ways to do that. Number one, you want to create conversion-heavy landing pages. And again, you might be wondering what that means. And a landing page is, its main purpose is to turn online users into patients and clients. Because if you think about it and you say had a pay-per-click ad running, and it was for something really specific, maybe neck pain, maybe grooming, something like that, and they click on it and they just get to your homepage, they're going to be frustrated. They want to see what they were searching for. So you want to make sure that you have a landing page for each ad that goes directly to what they're talking about to make the turnaround time quicker. You also want to make sure that you're including a strong call to action. Make it really easy for them to contact you. Make it, the phone number, you want it to be right there, or that lead capture box, or whatever the case may be, so there's no lag time. Again, very, very important. You also want to make it visually appealing. Videos, pictures, things that help with that conversion rate. We found that things like having a welcome video or having a how-to video are really, really helpful. If we can watch something and not read it, we're going to do it. So it's great to have on your landing pages as well. And people want to know who they're bringing their pets to, or who they're bringing their bad back to. They want to create that relationship with you before they walk in the door. The other thing that we want to do is improve our quality score. We already talked a little bit about our quality score. So it is the secret, or one of the secrets, to driving down costs for your ads, potentially, lowering your cost per click, and again, maximizing that investment. Currently, accounts with a higher quality score, and this will give you an idea of how important it is, are granted something like a 16 to 50% decrease in cost per click. And people with a lower quality score can get something anywhere from a 25 to a 400% increase in your cost per click. So you can see how much money you can save or spend if you have that corresponding quality score. And then also, finally, if your PPC ads aren't organized in ad groups, you should also figure out, you should review that and work on your strategy there. So that was the bulk of our webinar. Thank you so much for taking your time to tune in. I'm now going to go ahead and take questions from you guys. So if you guys want to go ahead and if you have any questions, we can talk about those. And I'll give you guys just a minute to go ahead and type those in for me, okay? Okay, guys, thank you so much for all your questions. I'm going to go ahead here and let's see. So I did have someone right off the bat ask if we are finding boosted posts on Facebook are worth the boost fee.
No.
And I have a little guest here, and that's my director, Justin. He's coming in because he's really knowledgeable. He's a Google AdWords certified, so he's going to help me answer some of these questions. And no, we don't think that boosted ads on Facebook are worth the boost fee.
No, we've actually avoided any kind of advertising on social media, any kind of pay-per-click or any kind of improved posting. And the reason is typically the advantage is that the posts really aren't being seen outside your network, which tends to incorporate your client base already. So the advantage for you is really it's not from a client acquisition of a new client, but from more of an internal, how do we generate more business? We just haven't seen the numbers work out that way, at least in what is being reported around. So our experience with that thus far has not been beneficial, but we test everything from time to time, and maybe if Facebook makes some changes, we'll come back to it and see if it's improved since then.
So the next question was about the negative keywords, and I do think it's a little bit of a counterintuitive phrase. Mm-hmm. It just means words that for searches that you don't want to come up for. A negative keyword would be a word like free. If someone searches for free chiropractic or cheap vet, you probably don't want to come up in those searches because we're trying to get you that good ROI. Maybe if you don't take insurance or if you don't take Medicare, those would be negative keywords. If someone searches for an emergency vet at 3 in the morning, you don't want to come up for that if you're not an emergency vet or you're not 24 hours. So that's really what negative keywords are. Okay.
And to chime in on that, one of the reasons we emphasize using negative keywords is a lot of times when you set up your own AdWords campaign, Google will try and help you. And unfortunately, their help is a bit of a double-edged sword because they're going to suggest using broader keywords like, hypothetically, let's say you're a chiropractor. And you say, okay, I want to use all the keywords associated with chiropractor. Well, the problem is a lot of those keywords, the truth is there are a lot of keywords that they're going to automatically associate with your campaign. And you want to make sure that we're not paying money to advertise for a keyword that doesn't actually apply to your business. It's one of those tricky little things that Google doesn't always do a very good job about because their goal is to have you spend as much money as possible. What we want to do is make sure you spend the right amount of money on the right keywords. This way your ROI is pushed out as much as it possibly can be. We don't want you to waste your spending budget on keywords that don't apply to your business.
So our next question, and a lot of you had a similar question here, is where do we find that all-important quality score?
So within AdWords itself, there is a way to actually pull your quality score. Now, the one thing I mentioned, and I don't know if this got covered too much, but your quality score changes literally every time someone does a search. So every time a search is done and your AdWords account is triggered, a quality score is run. And that quality score is based on a lot of different metrics. But you have the ability to see within AdWords your quality score, and it is a little bit of a game you play. The higher the quality score, the less expensive the keywords are going to cost you. So you want to make sure that you're tracking that very efficiently. You want to make sure you're trying to improve your quality score as much as you can. And that's another reason why you may want to consider having a professionally managed pay-per-click campaign, because the managers are very good at improving quality score, and there's a lot of little nuances that you may not be able to get on your own. So just be aware that that is a tricky thing, and it requires a lot of skill set. And even I'm, who AdWords certified, don't even feel confident modifying quality score or improving quality score. I usually kick it over to our professional services team, who knows far more than I do about what the best tactics are for improving that.
So our next question is, how do we bid on keywords?
So this, again, is going to vary. If you're going to AdWords, AdWords has an interface. So you're probably asking that question because you've never had an AdWords account. When you set up an AdWords account, you're going to set up your campaigns, you're going to set up your keywords, and you can do a couple things. Google likes you to do the automated bidding. They like you to just say, hey, here's $200 a month, figure it out for me. And a lot of people go with that method because it is the easiest way to set up an account. The problem is it's not the most efficient. It doesn't maximize your ROI because once again, Google has a different goal. Their goal does not actually line up with yours. They want you to spend as much money as possible. We want you to maximize your ROI, and so hopefully do you. So the goal shouldn't be to just let Google set everything up. You need to play a little bit of a game. There is a live auction where you're basically setting a maximum bid per keyword on Google, and you can pick that out by particular keywords. You can say, look, I want this keyword, with this bid for this time of day, in this demographic, with this neighborhood, with only people who are using an iPhone. You actually have that much control. And that control is great and bad. It's great because it means we can find the most valuable clients to target, but it's negative in the sense that it's honestly usually too difficult for a layman or someone who hasn't worked in these systems before to set it up that way, because it requires a huge in-depth understanding of how AdWords works. But it also requires you to really be on top of it. You have to track it constantly because there's always changing. Keep in mind, just because you set something up and it runs well when you start doesn't mean your actions don't cause your competitors to change their actions. A lot of times people set up accounts and they run really well at first. And the reason they run really well at first is because nothing has changed. Well, once you jump into the game and your competitors all of a sudden start to lose traffic, they have to change their strategy. So if you want to run an effective AdWords campaign, you're always adjusting your strategy to find what has the best conversions. So again, you'll log into AdWords, and I don't think we're going to go too in-depth on exactly where you're going to do this. But if you really want to do this on your own, AdWords does have a basic setup for you. And even Google has some great basic documentation on how to do this because they know a lot of people are doing this on their own. How do you sell up PPC? How do you set up PPC?
Yeah, I think our next question is how do you actually go about setting up PPC, which is a valid question.
Again, it is a very difficult and kind of complicated thing. But typically the PPC is generic, pay-per-click advertising. When we refer to PPC, usually as a company, we're referring to Google's PPC, which is called AdWords. So AdWords is what Google's pay-per-click product is. And so if you want to set up a campaign, you can go to Google and search the keyword AdWords, and there's an account you can set up with Google. They'll walk you through it. It's honestly very straightforward, at least for the setup. And you can plug in your payment method, you can plug in your information, you'll have to have your website set up, all that stuff. The other thing to keep in mind, and again, my recommendation is don't let Google automatically pick everything for you. Don't let them pick the keywords. Don't let them make a recommendation on your budget. You have to do your homework here, and you have to really look it up. If you let Google manage it for you, you're going to spend very quickly. The other tip I have for you, and this is from an experience perspective, is you have a couple different ways to fund an account with AdWords. You can either prepay it and say, okay, here's $1,000 for the month. Let's figure out how to spend that. Or you can say, I'm just going to have a rolling, and as you need money, pull it from my credit card. Be very, very careful of having the method where it can just pull your money as is needed. And the reason is because I've had experience where a couple of clients of ours and companies I've worked with have had those campaigns going, weren't paying attention, and it ended up spending $10,000 and $20,000 a month when their initial budget was only $500. So be very careful about that. Make sure you set caps and maximums for your budget so you don't spend more than you can afford, and you can make sure to measure your ROI and make sure it's still running good.
And I just want to reiterate, all of this is being recorded, so you guys can access the recording later, because I know that we are throwing a lot of information at you. Pay-per-click advertising is very, very intricate.
Give us just a second. We're going to pull up the next set of questions to make sure we have everything. Okay, so how can we make ads visible in our only hometown? Have you covered that one, Lily, yet?
We talked a little bit about it, yeah, that you're able to set to geographic locations with ad exclusions.
Yes, you can. You have the ability to customize a section. You could theoretically go by zip code if you want. You can even draw a map of a line you would like to target that only targets a particular area. Let's say, within a 10-mile radius, you love everybody that's west of you but hate everyone that's east of you. You can actually draw a line right through your practice and draw a section, a box, that will allow you to target only advertisers in that section. Now, the one thing I'll warn you on is that more mobile searches are being done now today. So you do want to play with your mobile settings and keep that in mind. One of the funny things you might find is that iPhone users, so if you're using an iOS, which you can target to as an operating system, tend to actually be better earners. So a lot of people like to target people who have an iPhone because they tend to make more money and tend to spend more. So they tend to be better clients all around. But there's a lot of ways to set this up in AdWords. Let's see. These are new, right?
Yeah.
If our account is focusing on SEO, did iMatrix already set up our keyword campaign? If so, is there a login we can see that information? So our service tiers for our company, we have 3 different options which we call professional services. One is an SEO only campaign. The other is a pay-per-click only campaign, and then you have both, which includes both. So it depends on your service. If you're running an SEO account with us, which we call our premium level of service, we have not set up AdWords for you. We focus in on organic ranking only with that level of service. If you are running the Dominator level of service, which includes both pay-per-click and SEO, then we would actually have those AdWords accounts set up for you. If you do, our account managers can provide you, if you want more information, from everything from your click-through rates. They can provide you your AdWords. There's a whole PDF that they can create from you for AdWords that breaks down the results, what they're targeting, what's available to you. Just reach out to your account manager, and they'll be happy to let you know what's going on. And if you're on the premium level of service but want to explore the pay-per-click levels of service, don't be afraid to call us. We'll talk you through the options, run through the pricing with you, and kind of give you an idea of what the expectations are, because we certainly want to make sure that you're doing well and you have good expectations. No, so if you're using our Reputation Builder account service, that's actually one of our more introductory levels of service, which is designed to help you guys build a reputation. It's a great service, but it doesn't focus on AdWords at all. The AdWords service requires someone who is actually AdWords certified, which is actually a very rigorous testing process that Google does and makes you update every year. If somebody tells you they're AdWords certified, they can verify that through Google, and you can actually look them up and verify it. Do that for sure, especially if it's outside of our company, because a lot of people say they're AdWords certified and they're not. It is a very rigorous testing that is required. The truth is, I've been in this business for 10 years, and when I went to go take the testing, it took me 3 times to pass the test, which is probably another reason I'm not one of your account managers. But I do have an unbelievably good understanding of it. It's just when it comes to setting up those accounts, so much changes so often, it requires someone who's really only looking in AdWords all the time to be really good at it. So I have some great abstract understanding of it, but if you're asking me to set something up right now, I'd probably, again, kick it back to one of the professionals and let them guide us through the process.
Right. And that looks like that's our last question, unless anybody else has any last questions before we wrap things up today. Give you guys a second to type. Okay. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for attending the webinar today on pay-per-click advertising. I hope that this was helpful and you learned a little bit and understand a little bit more about something that can be really beneficial for your business. If anything seems overwhelming, please give us a call. We're the fastest growing online marketing agency in the industry, and we offer expert custom content, PPC advertising, and a bunch of other internet marketing solutions. We even have mobile-friendly websites and search engine optimization. So we run the gamut and we can do it all for you. Just give us a call at 1-800-iMatrix, or you can also just pop online at imatrix.com. We also, just as a thank you today for attending, you will receive 50% off the initial setup when you sign up for any of our online marketing services by the end of the month, so the January 29th. And you just need to mention the promo code, which you can see on the screen, and that is January Webinar 16 to take advantage of the limited time offer. And again, thank you guys so much, and have a wonderful Wednesday.